You're listening to the International Moving Podcast, your guide to moving to another country, brought to you by SDC International Shipping, LA's finest. An international move is exciting. It's a time to start over, establish a new business maybe, reestablish family ties, or retire where your budget will do more for you. Please enjoy today's episode, and if you have any questions about your international move, give us a call at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Jim for SDC International Shipping. As always, great to be back here again with you today. It is Monday. Today, I believe this episode is going to be released on the 28th. If not, it will be released the Monday after that. More than likely, though, you'll be listening to this on the 28th. If I had to give this episode a title out of the box, I will call it something like Borders and Beyond, because I'm going to talk about our new destination websites that we've recently launched and a little bit about some of the trends that are happening around the world for international relocation. So whether you are moving for a new job, maybe you're planning retirement abroad, relocating with your family, or just chasing that dream of living in another country, we know that making the leap is thrilling, it's overwhelming, it's a lot of things all packed into one. And that's why today I wanted to talk just a little bit about some of the latest tools. I think tool is a good name for a website, because websites are designed to give you the kind of information that you're looking for. And sometimes after a while, depending on the topic, a website can become huge. Now, I know quite a bit about websites. It's something that I've been involved with for the last, 27, 28 years. And so what SDC has done is they have created specialized destination websites tailored just for people who are moving, let's say, from the US to countries like the UK, Australia, and we're also releasing very soon, the 1st of June, Spain. And we have a main website at sdcinternationalshipping.com, and there's so much information there about anything that you may think of relative to moving internationally. We have services that cover everything that you can think of, and that's great. But recently we've decided, why not go ahead and put a few specialty sites together, because there's certain areas that people move to that are more popular than anything else. Right now, those areas are the UK, Australia, and Spain. So we went ahead and developed tools, websites, that specialize in these locations. And that way you can get maybe more in-depth information than you would even at our regular website. And that's saying something, because we have a lot of great information at sdcinternationalshipping.com. But we're going to have specialized information at our UK site and at our Australia site, and also at the Spain website. And who knows, maybe we may add one or two more in the days, weeks, months, maybe even years ahead. So, but let's talk about what's happening in the world right now, from visa changes to work from anywhere trends, where people are relocating to places for a better cost of living or a higher quality of life. And so let's talk about some of these. And the more you understand about international moving, the less overwhelming it becomes in your mind. Now, I was thinking about this before, but a lot of times thinking about doing something is sometimes even worse than doing it. What I mean is, you can get so lost in the details in your own mind, so overwhelmed that you feel miserable, and you haven't even gone through the actual process yet. You're just thinking about it, and you think, oh, there's just so much to do. There's so many details. And, unfortunately, yeah, that's life. But what I want to assure you about today is that this process is easier, let's say in 2025, when I'm making this recording, than it's ever been before. Technology, logistics, everything has improved the international moving experience. It's not like it was in the old days. And, I'm sure if you've seen movies or read books or stories, making an international move was just an incredibly stressful, sometimes even dangerous journey to make. But let's talk a little bit about some of our new relocation. I guess they can also call it a support hub that will make it easier than ever for people moving to these locations. First, there's our new website at movefromusa to uk.com. That's movefromusa to uk.com. And this site is a complete roadmap for anyone moving to the United Kingdom. We'll walk you through things like the UK's transfer of residency or tour application to bring your household goods tax-free into the UK. Now, some people have never heard of this before, but think about it logically. When anything comes from a boat from one country into another, it has to go through customs. And there's been a lot of talk lately about tariffs and fees. And, when something leaves the port, of course, it incurs different fees, and those fees are paid whether we're talking about residential or commercial. But the difference between residential and commercial is your household goods are things that you use, not things that you sell. And so the transfer of residency means it's your residency that is going to be moving, not taxable goods, not things that you're going to be making a living with. They're just things that you are part of your everyday life. And so the tour application allows you to bring your household goods tax-free into the UK. So what do you expect? What should you expect during customs clearance? Or how do you ship your car or motorcycle to the UK? And you'll find everything there at Move from USA to UK. And we're only going to be adding to it. If you listen to this podcast, let's say in September, there'll be even more information because we're adding it all the time to the websites. So you'll find tour form guides, visa information, ideas on how to prepare for your move. Everything is there. It's specific to the UK. Then we have our Australia website, which is at movers2australia.com. That's movers2australia.com. If you plan on moving down under, as they say, then there are strict biosecurity regulations you'll need to know. The Australian Quarantine and Inspection Service, or the AQIS, checks everything from the soil on your boots to the material used in your furniture. And we have a lot of information there, breaks it all down, helps you avoid any surprises. Plus, we even talk about pet relocation options. Now, we are not a pet relocation service. We are an international household moving company, but we understand that people have cats and dogs and birds. And of course, you do have to check and make sure that the kind of pet you have will be allowed into the country. There are restrictions for that, and you have to have vaccines updated. Sometimes, most of the places your pets have to have chips. So that's something that you have to look into, of course. We have all the details, meaning that when you're working directly with us, when you've gone beyond the research phase into actually working with a relocation specialist, let's say in this case, we're just talking about Australia right now, that person will work with you to make sure that you have all the I's dotted and all of the T's crossed and help you make the arrangements so that your pet can make the secure journey from where you are now to wherever you're going in Australia. And so if you've ever seen, the airlines, they move pets all the time. Of course, your pet's not going to go into a shipping container and take, 8 weeks to get to wherever you're going or longer. That, of course, your pet's not treated like that. Your pet's treated like a member of the family. And so it's just like if you're going from state to state and you have a pet that's being transported, there are protocols and everything in place. But, we're just talking about moving in the U.S. As far as that goes. People do it all the day, every day with pets. I'm sure a lot of people don't take their pets on vacation, but you know what I'm talking about. People fly and pets are transported by plane. Everything's transported by plane. I remember talking to the owner of a pet shop, and he was telling me how the fish are caught and packaged in the process they go to before they wind up in a tank in a pet shop, or even some of the stores used to have the fish tanks on the wall set up. Yeah, it's amazing the journey that those fish go through. A lot of them come from outside of the country, like a lot of other things. But yeah, all that information is available, and no matter how complex your move is, maybe you're traveling light, or maybe you're traveling with a four-bedroom house with oversized items, valuable artwork. We have solutions for all the above. We've moved professionals all over the world from some of the biggest, most well-known companies. We take care of their employees. We've moved famous people from California to all around the world. We move people both ways. We move people from outside of the U.S. in, and from inside of the U.S. out. We cover all 50 states. And the nice thing is, SDC is big enough to be able to handle any kind of move, and we do. But yet we are small enough that you can still get personalized service, and you will. So, for example, if you call, it's not like calling the cable company where you get put on hold for 10 minutes and then have to talk to computers and download an app just to be able to communicate with someone. No, we're not like that at all. You're actually going to be able to speak to a live person. You'll be assigned a relocation specialist. They'll work directly with you and cover all points of the move. And so that's what I mean about the whole process. If you think about it and you're worried about all of the different things that have to be done, then let me just tell you, you can relax, you can take a breath, because you're going to be working with someone who does this every single day. Think about it. When your finances become overwhelming, you hire an accountant. And you sit down with that accountant and you relax, because you know that they know exactly what to look for, what you need, and they will make sense out of the mess that and the pile of papers or whatever it is that you share with them, receipts and so on. Attorneys, same way. Whether you're buying a piece of real estate or you're sitting down with an attorney for another reason, you're there because they know what they're doing. You can research the topic, sure, but it sure gives you that extra sense of peace of mind when you're working with a professional. And international moving is no different. It's unique. It's not like a local move. It's not like moving within the country. An international move has a lot of boxes that need to be checked. And when you're working with professionals, like you will if you choose SDC International Shipping, then you don't have to worry. It's just like sitting down with an attorney, an accountant, or a doctor, or a professional who's highly trained in that area. Our packers aren't just the ordinary packers that maybe the average moving company would use. They are also highly trained, because they have to make sure that those items are secure for a long distance move. And sometimes that includes very invaluable items that are very delicate, very precious, can be easily broken or ruined. And so we have experience with all of that. Now, on June 1st, we'll be launching our new movertospain.com website. And that's also going to be packed with information. You'll be able to understand the Spanish customs exemptions, moving your vehicle, tips for settling into a more relaxed Mediterranean lifestyle. I have friends that moved from uh, my hometown to Spain. They love it there, and I don't think they're planning on moving anytime soon. Whether you're heading for a place like a Barcelona or a Costa del Sol, we have you covered. Each of these websites are designed to reduce the overwhelm and help you make a more confident decision about your move. And every page is backed by real experts at SDC International Shipping who are just a phone call or a quote form away. So you're reading something, you're interested in it, you want more information, there's a chat window right there where you can reach out and connect with someone, or just pick up the phone and call. What's happening around the world? Let's talk a little bit about the bigger picture. in 2025, remote work is here to stay. And more US based companies are allowing employees to work from anywhere. And many countries, especially in Europe, are rolling out digital nomad visas that allow the US citizen like you and I to live abroad while working remotely. Maybe you're thinking about Spain or Portugal or Greece. These are some of the top countries where digital nomad visas are being acquired. Cost of living is also driving migration. From Los Angeles to New York, we're seeing people move from the busy cities. And let me just say this, we can look at any city anywhere, and you can look at the rougher parts of the cities. We can talk about crime. But on the other side, places like Los Angeles, places like New York, places like, I mean, we can name other cities. There's still a certain culture there. There's still a certain type of opportunity that's just not available in other places. And that's why, no matter when we look at a city, we could be looking at the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, or 2025. You can see that, yeah, whenever you get a lot of people together, then the potential for problems exist. However, you don't want those necessarily to overshadow the other opportunities that are available in some of these places. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to throw that in there. Also, Spain and Portugal, they do offer lower housing prices. They're known for having better weather, public health care, and you can live pretty decently there. Sometimes for half of what it costs to live in a lot of these other places that we've talked about here in the US. Then we have retirees. Countries like France, Italy, Costa Rica, they remain in 2025 top picks for Americans looking for retiring overseas. Things like healthcare, culture, slower pace of life, all of these things combined make these locations major draws. Costa Rica was super popular about 2 years ago. And since that time, I know it's built up quite a bit. They're building a mega hospital. The last time I checked out Costa Rica there, and that's an example. There's just a lot of older people moving there. Healthcare is very important to them, and so Costa Rica is adjusting to this influx of Americans. But SDC has helped countless clients plan a move that allows them to stretch their retirement income without sacrificing comfort. And lastly, logistics. With global shipping routes stabilizing over the years, we're seeing more predictable. I shouldn't really even say over the years. I mean, we can look at just not that long ago during COVID and how everything was destabilized. But everything is kind of returned to a normal routine now. As far as I know, I don't see any problems with the logistics. And so we're seeing more predictable freight timelines, more favorable container rates. And for a lot of people looking at this, there's really not a reason to put it off. If there's a good time to move, if now's the time for you, then go ahead and do it. Yeah, the prices can fluctuate a little bit depending on the time of the year. So if you know you're moving this year, if you want to move in 2025, you can lock in your plan early and call SDC International Shipping and get all your ducks in a row. And that way you can plan intelligently based on the actual information. Some of the fears that people talk about are things like, I don't want my items to get stuck in customs, or I'm afraid that I'll forget an important document, or what if something breaks during the shipping? These are some of the things that people worry about when they're preparing for an international move. And the good thing is, number one, let's just talk about a few of these things. We guide you through every required form when we're talking about customs, from the transfer of residency tour in the UK to the non-session certificate for France. We also provide custom checklists so that you never miss a step. We offer professional packing services that meet international standards using only approved materials, which means that your items are packed right the first time. Nothing has to be repacked. On top of that, we offer total loss insurance. We offer all risk cargo insurance, which protects your shipment from the moment it leaves your home to the moment it arrives at your new home. So you'll get support from start to finish. SDC is a licensed global relocation company with shipping expertise, which includes air, sea, and overland freight, right? So maybe you have from your house to the port where things are transported on land, and then again from the port, let's say in the UK, traveling over through the country to your ultimate destination. And but the nice thing is, even though there's a lot of moving parts here, from your very first quote to the last delivery, you'll be working with a dedicated relocation specialist, not a call center, not a chat bot, but a real person that knows your name, that knows your destination, and knows your needs. That's the difference. The services that are available include packing and crating, containerized sea freight or fast tracked air freight if things need to be there sooner rather than later. Storage in both the US and abroad. Maybe it makes sense to move everything now, or maybe you have to make the move now, but your final location won't be ready for a few months. So storage is available on both sides of the move. Customs clearance assistance, of course, very important. If you need your vehicle transported along with your household goods, we'll help you there. And if you have pets, again, we'll point you in the right direction so they can make their journey as comfortable as possible. And then the delivery right up to your new doorstep. You have somebody with you every step of the way. And that's why a lot of our clients, when people come back again, it's great to see them again because they were happy the first time. They let other people know about us, and they come back again when they move back from overseas back here to the US. A lot of times people move temporarily. I think people live in more homes today. They move more times during their lifetime than any other point in history. I know when I grew up, I lived in one household. I stayed in that household until I was married. When I was married, I moved out into an apartment with my wife, and then the rest of my life had a series of moves after that point, which I would actually have to sit down and count the number of times that I've moved in the places I lived in. I've definitely lived in more than 5 places. I'm thinking about 7 or 8 in total. But a lot of people move even more than that. One of our clients recently moved to London, and he was relocating with his family. And when he got started, he wasn't sure where to begin. But with help from SDC, he completed his transfer of residency application. He got his inventory list together. He even had his car loaded into the same shipping container as his furniture, all within a very short period of time. His container cleared UK customs, without any type of delay. And our team over in the UK had his household items and vehicle delivered just a few days after port release. And so that's the kind of experience that we strive to make in every single one of our moves. So let me give you 3 steps to start your move. Even if you're not going to be moving, let's say within the next several months, at least you can get an idea of how you can go through this process easily. If you're moving to the UK or Australia or Spain, for example, you can go to one of our destination sites, movefromusa2uk.com, moverstoaustralia.com, or movertospain.com. We couldn't get, unfortunately, the same basic name for every location site. It's 2025, the names go quickly. But you can go there. You can get all the general information. You get specific information about the visas. You can start making your plans. You can get your packing list together. You can read up about the customs forms that you need. Then from there, request a quote. Request a quote right on the website and schedule your consultation. From that point on, you'll have a dedicated relocation specialist that will help guide every decision. You can choose your shipping method, your container size, your insurance coverage, and even have everything set for the arrival timing. And so, yeah, you'd have to be a little bit flexible when it comes to international moves because you're not talking about just driving from point A to point B across town. You're talking about going to another country, and your household goods are going to be on a ship with lots of other containers, and it's going to go from whatever port that you're leaving from. Maybe you're leaving from the West Coast, or maybe you're somewhere in the center of the country or on the East Coast. Either way, there's a little bit of difference in the time. If you're going to the UK from the East Coast, of course, it's a shorter difference. It's a little faster. If you're going from the West Coast, it's not that much slower, maybe just a little bit. And then you'll be set. People are doing this all the time. They're doing it every day. They're moving all over the world when you get right down to it. I've been only involved in this podcast for about 2 years now, and I have to tell you that every time I think about what's happening in the world and where people are moving to me it's always a fresh and exciting topic to talk about. Even the international movie, you might think, well, the topic of moving is a little bit dull and not that exciting. But when you're thinking about it's your stuff, then you suddenly think, wow, this is something that I could do. Maybe you're not even married. Maybe you're just a single person. It doesn't make any difference. The systems are there that you can take care of. SDC International Shipping is here. We move individuals. We move big families. We help young people move, older people move, and everything in between. So international relocation is a life-changing decision. And once you're aware of it and how easy it can be, then I think that it's always on the back burner. Now, personally, for me, I like the United States for this point in my life, but could I see myself moving abroad one of these days? Yeah, absolutely. Even if it's just for a temporary period of time, I can imagine certain places that I'd like to visit. Personally, I'd like to visit Italy. Haven't been there. I'd like to go to the UK because I know so many people there that I've met over the years. And I would love to just stop in and say hi and maybe be there for a few months, work remotely, like the some of the digital nomads do. Something like that I would love. Or maybe even retirement. People think about retiring to one area and just that's it. They're in that area, they're in that house, they're in that town. But, maybe you can do a little bit of globe trotting when you're retired. A lot of people today, they're working a little bit longer. I can imagine the digital nomads of the future being people in their 60s and 70s still working. Maybe not necessarily because they have to, but I mean, what else are you going to do with your time? You have to find something to keep busy. I mean, I remember back in the old days, back in this, what are my old days? Back in the 70s, I had people in my family who had died in their 70s. And I was very young back then. And I remember hearing stories that they were only retired for 4 or 5 years. And then I learned as I got a little bit older that back in the old days, people would retire and they would die shortly afterward. People today are living longer. And the fact that they're living longer and they're more active today than they were in the past, I remember my old uncles, they would get up in the morning, they would eat their breakfast, and then they would basically sit around the house watching TV. In other words, that was the old retirement. But today is the retired people of today. I mean, you can check out places, usually warm weather places. Retired people, the average retired person, I would say, prefers the warmer weather. You can check out places like Florida, or you can check out places also in California and look at some of the retired communities there. And the people there, they're active all the time. They do things, they have activities. Matter of fact, a lot of them are just as active as they were when they were working, except they're doing things they enjoy now. That's the difference. And so, yeah, you could do that with once you're aware of the process and how it works, then you can do that with a company with help from SDC and all the information that's available online. You can make a solid plan. You can move and stay in a place for a year or two and move someplace else and do all the things that maybe you couldn't do in your working years once you're retired. Anyway, just a few thoughts. I'm just throwing that out there for you. So I think that will do it for today. Thanks so much for listening. If you have any friends thinking about moving, let them know that we have an international moving podcast here in which we cover these topics every week. Our main website is at sdcinternationalshipping.com. You can call us there at 877-339-0267. That's 877-339-0267. You can even say I listened to Jim on the podcast and found out about your company, your international moving company, if you want. All right, that'll do it for today. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for listening. Whether you're relocating within the country or moving to the other side of the world, we're here to help from start to finish. Connect with us today at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962.